Okay, hello everyone. So this is Teacher Marian and I would like to show you how to balance a chemical equation. So there are different methods on how to balance a chemical equation. I'm going to show you the basic one or the simple one, and then of course I'm going to show you another method on how to balance a chemical equation. So of course, why do we need to balance a chemical equation? And of course, when we say chemical equation, this is actually um, a shortcut way on presenting a chemical reaction. So when we say chemical reaction, okay, meron tayong reactants. So example dito sa ating screen, meron tayong reactants, meron tayong molecule of hydrogen, and of course we have here we have chlorine, and it yield to molecule of HCl. Okay, so of course we have our product here. So we have our reactants, and of course we have our product. So this type of chemical reaction is actually a combination reaction. Why combination reaction? Kasi meron tayong formation, okay, ng mas malaking molecule. When these two molecules of hydrogen and chlorine combine, it yields to the formation of hydrochloric acid, which is a bigger molecule. So pag sinabi nating chemical reaction, it follows the law of conservation of mass. So when we say law of conservation of mass, yung mass ng reactants or the number of atoms here in reactants is equal or pareha siya sa number of atoms dito sa product part. Okay? So again, all chemical reactions can be presented in chemical equation. So yung prerequisite dito, dapat alam mo kung paano magsulat ng symbol ng mga elements, ng mga molecules, or yung kanilang chemical formula. So let's have this example here. So yung basic na pagbalance ng isang chemical equation. Okay? So first thing is we have to list the elements here dito sa reactant side at dito naman sa product side. So ang gagawin natin muna, maglalagay tayo ng imaginary line dito just to divide the side of reactants at yung product side. So here we have to list all the elements and their number, okay, number of atoms. So let's have here, okay, for our hydrogen, okay, as you can see, meron tayong, okay, dalawa. Okay, dalawang atom ng hydrogen dito sa reactant. So yung nakikita nyo ditong nakasulat, okay, sa chemical formulas o sa mga symbols ng mga molecules, ito yung ating subscript. Okay? Now, itong subscript na to, hindi ito napapalitan. Hindi din ito nababago. Okay? Of course, aside from hydrogen, okay, we also have, okay, chlorine. So, meron tayong dalawa. Okay? So, since tapos na, punta naman tayo dito sa product side. Okay? So, for the number of hydrogen, dito na sa ating a molecule of HCl, meron tayong isa. Okay? Obviously, kahit na walang nakasulat dito na subscript, no, dito sa ating molecule of HCl, meron dyan nakasulat na 1 or meron dyan understood merong 1 dyan. Kaya lang we don't need to write it. Okay? So, we have 1 atom of hydrogen, and for the chlorine, meron tayong isa din. Okay? So, obviously, okay, hindi parehas yung number of hydrogen, okay, dito sa reactant at dito sa product side. Same also dito sa ating chlorine. Same also din dito. So, we can say that the chemical equation is unbalanced and it doesn't follow the law of conservation of mass. Okay? That every time a material or a substance undergoes a chemical reaction, hindi dapat nababago yung number of atoms. No atoms will be destroyed nor created, okay? But they can just undergo rearrangement. So we need to balance this chemical equation, okay? To do that, of course, we need to add a coefficient number. Coefficient number is a whole number, okay? And it will be placed at the left side of molecules. Okay? So, tandaan nyo, kapag yung coefficient ay 1, you don't need to write it. Okay? Understood, merong coefficient na 1 dyan. Okay? Pero kapag it's 2 or more, okay, ilalagay natin. And of course, that coefficient can be multiplied dito sa subscript so that we can find the number of atoms of that molecule or element. Okay? So, kung meron tayong, umpisa na natin, ito yung pinaka-simple part. So, nalista na natin lahat yung ating number of atoms, okay, dito sa reactants at dito sa ating product site. So, ang problema natin, kailangan maging 2 din dito. Dalawa din yung hydrogen natin dito sa product site. So, ang gagawin natin, we can multiply it, okay, by coefficient 2. Yan. Okay, so 1 times 2, ibig sabihin, ang number of hydrogen na natin dito sa product ay 2. Okay, which is parehas na ngayon dito sa ating reactant. Okay, dito naman sa ating chlorine, okay, sa ating chlorine, we have to multiply it by same also din. Okay, kung napapansin nyo, ang i-multiply din natin ay 2. Okay, okay, kasi nga, yung ating molecule of HCl dito, okay, magkasama si hydrogen at si chlorine. So, ibig sabihin, kung ano yung nilagay mo na coefficient dito, okay, yun yung i-multiply mo both, okay, dito sa hydrogen at chlorine. Okay? So, multiply din natin siya ng 2, and obviously, okay, we will have 2 chlorine dito sa ating product site. So, as you can see now, the number of hydrogen, okay, dito sa reactant is equal to the number of hydrogen dito sa ating product side. Same also sa ating chlorine. Yung number of chlorine dito sa reactant side, parehas na dito sa number of chlorine dito sa ating product side. So, definitely, our coefficient na ilalagay dito sa left side ng molecule of HCl ay dapat 2. Okay? Okay. So, ibig sabihin, 2 times meron ditong subscript dito. Okay? 2 times 1, we have 2. Or here also din, merong 1 dito. 2 times 1, we have 2. So, definitely, this equation now is balanced. Okay? So, yun yung pinaka-basic on how to balance a chemical equation. Okay? We can observe it. Okay? We can just simply identify kung alin yung kulang or pwede natin ilagay na coefficient, okay, doon sa left side ng molecule. Okay, so here's another example. Okay, so we have here our reactants. Okay, we have barium oxide. We have barium oxide here, and it reacted to a molecule of water, and it formed barium hydroxide. So, kung may makikita kayong chemical formula at dito may naka-parenthesis, ibig sabihin, yung subscript dito, okay, i-multiply mo dito sa element, okay, na nasa loob nitong parenthesis. Okay? So, let's say, for example, again, merong subscript dyan na 1. So, 1 times 2, okay, that gives us 2 atoms of this oxygen dito sa product side. So, yung basic ulit sa pag-balance ng chemical equation. Okay, so first, okay, let's have an imaginary line here to divide the side ng reactant at ng product side. And of course, ang susunod ay ililista natin yung mga element. Okay, so sa barium, meron tayong isa, okay, one barium here dito sa reactant. For our oxygen, okay, okay, meron tayong 1, okay, dito. And then here, okay, meron din. Okay, so meron tayong 1 plus 1. Okay, so definitely, meron tayong dalawang atoms of oxygen. And of course, we have hydrogen. Okay. And as you can see here, we have 2. Okay, 2 hydrogen. Okay. So, ito yung ating number of atoms dito sa ating reactant side. Now, let's proceed dito sa ating product side. Okay, so same also, lista natin for our barium, meron tayong isa. Okay, for our oxygen, meron tayong dalawa. Okay, kasi nga 2 times 1 dito. Okay, that gives us 2. Same also din sa ating hydrogen. Okay, 2 times 1 dito, that gives us also 2. Okay, so obviously, okay, our equation is actually balanced. We don't need to add coefficient, okay, dito sa left side ng ating mga molecules. Kasi kung titingnan nyo, number of barium dito sa reactant, compared dito sa product, parehas, 1. And then here also, dalawa, yung oxygen natin dito sa reactant, dalawa din dito sa ating products. Dito naman, dito sa ating hydrogen, sa reactant, dalawa, dito din naman, dalawa. So, definitely, our equation here, our given equation is balance. Okay. Now, why do we need to identify the coefficient? Okay, so that we will know the ratio, okay, of each molecule. So, let's say for example here, understood na merong 1 dyan. Dito din sa molecule of water, meron din 1. At dito din sa ating molecule of barium hydroxide, meron din coefficient na 1. So, kung ilalagay natin, susulat natin yung ating ratio, meron tayong okay, 1 is to 1 is to 1. Okay, that's the ratio of this chemical equation. Okay, and this is very important. Knowing the ratio, okay, of the molecules, this is very important, especially if magsusolve tayo ng mga problems and related siya sa paghahanap ng, let's say for example, the number of moles needed of the particular material or substance, or let's say for example, the mass of that substance, we have to find ilan yung ma-yield. Okay, for let's say for example, for 1 molecule of barium oxide and 1 molecule of water, ilang grams ng barium hydroxide naman ang form. Okay, so pwede nating magamit itong ratio nila, which is 1 is to 1 is to 1. Okay, that's why before we solve a problem at concern dun sa mga ganong example, we need to balance first the chemical equation. So wala tayong problema dito. So let's have another example. Okay, we have our chemical equation here. So we have our reactants, we have iron, and it combines dito sa oxygen natin, okay, to form, okay, this iron 3 oxide. Okay, so this is a good example of combination reaction. Okay, now to find out if balance itong ating chemical equation, okay, kailangan natin ilista yung ating mga number of atoms dito sa reactant side at dito na compare natin din dito sa number of atoms dito sa product side. So, first thing is ilista muna natin. So, let's have our, okay, sa reactant side, meron tayong 1 iron. Okay. For the oxygen, we have 2. Okay. Now, for our product side, obviously, for a number of iron, meron tayong dalawa. Okay, we have 2. And for our oxygen, we have 3. So obviously, we have 3. So obviously, our chemical equation is unbalanced, okay? Because based on the number of atoms here dito sa reactants, hindi siya parehas dito sa number of atoms here sa product side. So we need to find the appropriate or the lowest possible coefficient na pwede natin ilagay sa left side ng ating molecule, ng ating either ng ating reactant or ng ating product para mag-balance yung chemical equation natin. Okay. So here, initially, ang pwede nating Actually, we can solve this by examining it. Okay? Pag titingnan mo yung chemical equation, madali lang naman siya. Pero, ida-dissect natin unti-unti. Para yung pinaka-basic thing na ginagawa kasi, yung trial and error. Okay? Sa pagbabalance ng chemical equation. Okay? So, lagay natin dito. Since meron tayong 2 iron dito sa product side, so dito, pwede natin i-multiply siya ng 2. Okay? 2. Para yung number of iron natin dito sa reactant side, dalawa na. Okay? Now, here, dito sa ating oxygen naman, hindi sila equal. Okay? So, we have to think of a number na kapag minultiply natin dito sa ating oxygen, okay, ang magiging sagot ay equal to 3 or more. Pero definitely, walang number na mag-equal siya sa 3. So, ibig sabihin, mababago yung number of oxygen natin both dito sa side ng reactant at dito sa ating product side. Okay? So, kung i-examine natin dito, okay, pag naglagay tayo ng coefficient dito, hindi lang yung number of oxygen ang mababago, pati na din ang number of iron dito sa product side. So, kung nabago yan, babaguhin natin ulit dito sa ating reactant side. Okay? So, dito muna tayo. Okay? So, if we will put 2, or if we will multiply, we will put 2 here, okay, as our lowest possible coefficient. Okay, pag-start tayo sa 2, multiply natin ang ating iron dito sa ating product side ng 2. Okay, so definitely, ang magiging sagot natin ay 4. Okay, here also, i-multiply din natin siya ng coefficient 2. Okay, so ang magiging number of oxygen natin ngayon ay, of course, 6. Okay, so ibig sabihin, mababago yung coefficient na natin dito, okay, sa iron. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, instead of 2, let's erase this part here, i-multiply natin siya ng 4. Okay? Multiply natin siya ng 4 so that we will have 4 iron. Okay? Dito sa reactant side, which is parehas na ngayon sa ating product. Okay? Dito naman sa ating oxygen, okay, since magkahiwalay naman si iron at saka oxygen dito sa ating reactant side, so kahit na hindi parehas yung coefficient na i-multiply natin dito sa initial number of oxygen. So, pero dapat equal to 6. Okay, so of course, we will multiply our oxygen dito sa reactant side ng 3. Okay, that will be our coefficient. So that 2 times 3, okay, we will have 6 oxygen dito sa ating reactant side. So, tingnan natin ulit. Number of iron dito sa reactant at dito sa product, parehas? Yes. Okay, we have 4. And here, number of oxygen dito sa reactant, we have 6. Dito naman din, we have 6. So, parehas, equal. So, definitely, ang ating coefficient na ilalagay dito sa reactant side, dito sa ating iron ay 4. Sa ating oxygen naman, molecule of oxygen, 3. And here, okay, ang ilalagay natin, okay, sa ating molecule of iron 3 oxide ay 2. Okay? Lagay natin ng 2 dito. Yan. So, obviously, okay, balance na ang ating chemical equation. So, pag isusulat natin ang ating ratio dito, ang ratio niya, ibig sabihin, 4 iron, okay, is to 3 molecule of oxygen is to 2 molecules of iron 3 oxide. Okay, so yan yung ratio ng ating chemical equation. 4 is to 3 is to 2. So again, this is the basic way on how to balance a chemical equation. Yung mga simple na chemical equation.